Good morning, friends. Happy Saturday. So, we are going to continue reading in Hansel and Gretel. So, if you remember, and where we stopped was it was the first time the parents tried to leave them in the woods. Hansel did the pebble thing, and they found their way back. Mom's all like, oh, hey, whatever. Anyway, all right. Not long after that, the entire country was once again ravaged by famine. And one night, the children heard their mother talking to their father in bed. Everything's been eaten up again. We only have half a loaf of bread, and after it's gone, that will be the end of our food. The children must leave. This time, we'll take them even farther into the forest so they won't find their way back home again. Otherwise, there's no hope for us. All this saddened the father, and he thought it'd be much better to share your last bite to eat with your children. But the woman would not listen to anything he said. She just scolded and reproached him. Once you've given a hand, people will take your arm, and since he had given in the first time, he also had to yield a second time. However, the children were still awake and had overheard their conversation. When their parents had fallen asleep, Hansel got up, intending to go out and gather pebbles as he had done the time before. But the woman had locked the door, and Hansel could not get out. Nevertheless, he comforted his little sister and said, "Don't cry, Gretel. Just sleep in peace. The dear Lord is bound to help us." Early the next morning, the woman came and got the children out of bed. They each received little pieces of bread, but they were smaller than last time. On the way into the forest, Hansel crumbled the bread in his pocket and stopped as often as he could to throw the crumbs on the ground. "Hansel, why are you always stopping and looking around?" asked the father. "Keep going." "I'm looking at my little pigeon that's sitting on the roof and wants to say goodbye to me," Hansel answered. "Fool," the woman said, "that's not your little pigeon. It's the morning sun shining on the chimney." But little by little, Hansel managed to scatter all the breadcrumbs on the path. The woman led the children even deeper into the forest until they came to a spot they had never in their lives. They had never in their lives seen before. Sorry about that. Once again, a large fire was made, and the woman said, "Just keep sitting here, children. If you get tired, you can sleep a little. We're going to the forest to chop wood, and in the evening, when we're done, we'll come and get you." When noon came, Gretel shared her bread with Hansel, who had scattered his along the way. Then they fell asleep, and evening passed. But no one came for the poor children. Only when it was pitch black did they finally wake up, and Hansel comforted his little sister by saying, "Just wait until the moon has risen, Gretel. Then we'll see the little breadcrumbs that I scattered. They'll show us the way back home." When the moon rose, they set out but could not find the crumbs, because the many thousands of birds that fly about in the forest and fields had devoured them. "Don't worry, we'll find a way," Hansel said to Gretel, but they could not find it. They walked the entire night and all the next day as well, from morning till night, but they did not get out of the forest. They were now also very hungry, for they had had nothing to eat except some berries that they had found growing on the ground. Eventually they became so tired that their legs would no longer carry them, and they lay down beneath a tree and fell asleep. It was now the third morning since they had left their father's house. They began walking again, and they kept going deeper and deeper into the forest. If help did not arrive soon, they were bound to perish of hunger and exhaustion. At noon, they saw a beautiful bird as white as snow sitting on a branch. It sang with such a lovely voice that the children stood still and listened to it. When the bird finished its song, it flapped its wings and flew ahead of them. They followed it until they came to a little house that was made of bread. Moreover, it had cake for a roof and pure sugar for windows. "What a blessed meal," said Hansel. "Let's have a taste. I want to eat a piece of the roof. Gretel, you can have some of the window since it's sweet." Hansel reached up high and broke off a piece of the roof to see how it tasted. mouse. Why? Why? Why would you? Never mind. Just read the story. And Gretel leaned against the window panes and nibbled on them. Then they heard a shrill voice cry out from inside. Nibble, nibble, I hear a mouse. Who's that nibbling at my house? The children answered, the wind, it's very mild, blowing like the heavenly child. And they did not bother to stop eating or let themselves be distracted. Since the roof tasted so good, Hansel ripped off a large piece and pulled it down, while Gretel pushed out a round piece of the window pane, sat down, and ate it with great relish. Suddenly, the door opened, and a very old woman leaning on a crutch came slinking out of the house. I love the visual. It's the one on a cane slinking. Words. Hansel and Gretel were so tremendously frightened that they dropped what they had in their hands. But the old woman wagged her head and said, well now, dear children, who brought you here? Just come inside and stay with me. Nobody's going to harm you. Yeah. So, we're going to stop there today, and I will read some more tomorrow, or I don't know, or maybe in a few days, whenever I get to it. All right, friends, it's time for your next adventure. I'll miss you.